Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be taking another look at a track you might already know, Durstnot, by the Doza Crew.
It's interesting you say revisiting,
Mm-hmm.
because that kind of implies that there's a new reason to be talking about this particular song,
Right.
beyond it just being a classic.
Yeah, while Durstnot has always been popular, there are some, let's call them newly relevant details that have come to light. And we need to kind of go back and look at the lyrics again.
Okay, I'm all ears. For those who haven't heard it, Durstnot is a song about, well, let's just say, enjoying a night out with friends, maybe a bit too enthusiastically.
It definitely captures that feeling of having a good time with your buddies and maybe making some questionable choices fueled by, as the title suggests, a powerful thirst.
Musically, it's classic Doza Crew, high energy, driving beat. You just want to move when you hear it.
And lyrically, it walks that line between hilarious and concerning, just like most of their work.
Yeah.
Laughing and crashing, not complaining and worrying, pretty much sums it up.
You got that right. But there's a verse, kind of an aside, really, that's gotten some new attention recently. It mentions a Mike who seems to be taking the idea of, whatever's available, a bit too far with what he's drinking.
Oh yeah, the line, "I peed in it to make it look more sold," followed by that laugh, is definitely hard to forget. Makes you wonder if there's something more to it than just a funny story from a wild night out.
Especially given the context of some recently discovered information.
And that's exactly what we're going to be diving into next. You do not want to miss it.
Okay, so what's all this new information that's got everyone looking back at a Doza Crew song?
Well, it turns out that line about Mike in Durstnot might not just be about some random drunken night. There's a reason to think it could be about the mysterious disappearance of Mike. You know, the host of Mike's Waffen Facts, the Weapons podcast.
Wait, are you saying the Mike in some old Doza Crew song is maybe the same Mike from that crazy podcast, Mike's Waffen Facts?
That's right. Remember all those news sources you gave me, transcripts from MWF episodes? That creepy found footage?
Oh, right, yeah. But I still don't see how a song about drinking too much could tie into a podcast about weapons.
I know, it seems weird at first. But think about it. Mike's Waffen Facts was known for being a bit, well, unconventional. Mike and his co-host, Rickard, were really into weapons, but they also loved their beer. Like, a lot.
So you're thinking the Mike from the song, who's known for his drinking, could be the same Mike who hosted a podcast where there was always alcohol around.
Yeah. And it gets even more interesting when you look at those MWF episodes we got. Things start to get really strange, especially toward the end.
Okay, tell me more. What kind of stuff happens in these later episodes? Was there anything that connects back to that Durstnot lyric?
Well, first off, you see a change in Mike. In the early episodes, he's this loud, funny guy, always joking, even when they're talking about serious stuff, like how a 16th century cannon works.
Yeah, sounds like the Mike we know from that song, a little reckless.
Right. But as the podcast goes on, he gets more and more obsessed with these experimental weapons, almost like he's paranoid. There's this one episode where he's actually praising dictators for their military tech.
Wow!
Yeah, Rickard even tells him that he's losing touch with reality.
That's a big change from the happy beer-drinking Mike in the beginning, and this all happens as he gets more interested in these experimental weapons.
Exactly. And then it all leads up to the last episode, number 605, where they're talking about two super advanced, almost mythical weapons. The Grindman plasma cannon and these Hellebardt handguns.
And that's where that found footage comes in, the footage of that last recording.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's chaotic, but you can see this huge metallic thing just suddenly appear in the studio. Then there's crashing noises, screaming, and then nothing.
Man, that's creepy. But how does this connect to the Doza Crew song? Are we saying that whatever Mike put in his drink in Durstnot is somehow related to this metallic thing?
It's a theory we're working with. I know it sounds crazy. But when you think about his weird behavior, the obsession with those weapons, and then that thing suddenly showing up,
Yeah,
it's hard to ignore the possibility they're connected.
I see what you mean. It's like a pattern of him being reckless. First with what he drinks, then with this dangerous technology. Do those MWF transcripts say anything about what he might have added to his drink that night?
No, unfortunately not. But there are parts where Mike talks about experimenting with stuff, saying it helps him think better and see things others can't.
So we got this Mike who messes around with things that change how he sees things. He gets obsessed with powerful, maybe dangerous weapons, and then disappears. That's a lot to process.
Yeah, it is. And we've only just scratched the surface here. Next time, we're going to look more closely at that Grindman plasma cannon and the Hellebardt handguns. Maybe figuring out what they could do will give us more clues about what happened to Mike. Okay, so we've got this Doza Crew song, maybe about Mike from Mike's Waffen Facts, and we've got Mike acting stranger and stranger, and then that last episode with the metallic thing. But what about these weapons he was so obsessed with? Could they be the key to this whole thing?
It's definitely a possibility. From what we know, both the Grindman plasma cannon and the Hellebarde handguns were really experimental, like pushing the limits of physics.
Yeah, the names themselves sound like something out of science fiction. What exactly did these things do?
Well, we don't know much, but from those MWF transcripts, the Grindman plasma cannon was supposed to create this beam of super concentrated plasma energy, basically a tiny portable sun.
A portable sun. That's nuts. What would anyone even use that for?
That's a good question. Mike actually called it a weapon with unlimited potential, one that could reshape the world. Yeah, he always exaggerated, but even Rickard seemed worried about what something like that could do.
And what about the Hellebarde handguns? What made them so special?
Those were even more mysterious. They were supposedly made with some kind of advanced metal and were rumored to be able to shoot bullets that could go through solid objects.
Go through matter, so like they could get past any kind of defense.
That's what it sounds like. Mike was really secretive about how they worked, even more than usual. He even hinted that the Hellebarde handguns and that metallic entity were somehow connected, saying they were resonant.
Resonant. What does that even mean in this situation?
That's the big question. We know Mike thought these weapons were more than just things that could destroy stuff. He thought they could unlock something hidden, some kind of power we don't understand yet.
So are we saying that maybe these weapons, especially those handguns, actually summon that metallic thing?
Yeah.
Like Mike messing around with this technology accidentally opened a door to something dangerous.
It's a scary thought, but the evidence, even if it's not totally clear, seems to point in that direction. Him experimenting so much, acting so strangely, and thinking he was about to make some huge discovery.
This whole deep dive has been insane. We started with a weird line in a Doza Crew song, and now we're talking about interdimensional beings and weapons that break the laws of physics.
It just shows that even the craziest ideas sometimes have some truth to them, and that when we try to learn new things, especially when it comes to powerful technology, we need to be careful and not just believe everything we hear.
Yeah. We might never know for sure what happened to Mike or what those weapons were really all about, but his story is a warning about what can happen when people want too much power and when they mess with things they don't understand.
So, to everyone listening, what do you think happened? Do you think that Doza Crew song was hinting at something, or was it just a coincidence? What other connections can you make from what we've talked about today?
The mystery of Mike's Waffen Facts is still unsolved, but there's still so much to explore. Keep asking questions, keep searching, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to finally figure out the truth.